Tony, stepping from what you've just described in terms of the bureaucracy and the issues that come with it, how do you think it will affect, let's say, an investor looking at companies, let's say in the iron ore industry or oil and gas industry against the green movement and critical metals, which is the talk of the town now? How do you help the investors digest this kind of talk from government?
Oh, look, it is an interesting question, Noel. There's no doubt about that. If you look at the economy as a whole, there's 4 sectors that drive the Australian economy and commodities. So it's iron ore, gas, coal, and education. Those are the 4 biggest sectors that motor, they're the engine of our economy. That's the reality. Now, we know that we know that coal is on the way out, but nonetheless, it's still a huge export for us. What we're seeing, and dovetailing with the climate change action, and we're seeing with the incoming government a stronger focus on its green credentials, and it's lifting the emissions target and it's seeking to have them legislated. So what it means is clearly it's messaging about winding back coal, but they will remain very much on board with gas. And gas is seen as the transition energy, going from coal to green energy. The Ukrainian-Russian war has highlighted some issues, supply issues on that front. The big uptick in the East Coast pricing for electricity has also rammed home the need for any government to manage that transition in a way that doesn't massively upset the voters / consumers. So government will react appropriately, I think, regardless of its natural inclination as a Labor government to be unduly focused, if I can use that term, on the green energy sector. Iron ore. Now, iron ore will remain. That'll be the one constant. So the federal government will be keen to remain relatively supportive. But it doesn't get away from the fact, as I've touched on earlier, that the failure of all governments to deal with that federal-state power sharing arrangements means that smaller scale projects will always be fraught with a lot of risk and a lot of cost in order to get off the ground. Okay, that's just the blunt message that I think we all have to accept. It's not going to improve. But nonetheless, governments recognise that as a major, massive export earner, they need to provide some level of support. That level of support will really be less on the bureaucracy, which I fear is not going to improve, but it'll be more about continuing the infrastructure spending to facilitate the uptick in the projects. And that side is a little bit more promising for us.